Greetings there, Earthling, and welcome back to Podcastage. This is my review of a relatively affordable tube preamp, the Presonus TubePre V2. This device costs about $160. I bought it with my own dollary dues, and if you're interested, I'll throw some links in the description down below. Also, all of my recording settings will be listed in the doobly-doo as well as the description, and now let's talk about what comes in the box. What a surprise, you are going to get the preamp, you'll get the necessary power cable which has a power switch on it, you'll get a set of rubber feet, and you'll get a manual. Then as far as the build quality, it actually feels quite nice. It has an all-metal chassis, the dials are nicely attached, and the XLR ports don't have any excessive wobble. Also, just in case you're curious, this device is made in China. On the top, you'll find some vents. On the bottom, you'll find some vents. On the sides, you'll find Presonus logos. On the back, you'll find the power input, the XLR balanced output, a 1/4-inch unbalanced output, the XLR microphone input, and the 1/4-inch instrument input. On the front of the preamp, you'll find a drive or tube saturation dial, a gain dial with a clipping indicator light, a phase inversion button, an instrument input high Z selector button, an 80 Hz high pass filter, a 48 volts phantom power button, and a VU meter. 80 Hz, not 80 Hz. What are Hz? Aren't Hz's pretzels? I would love 80 pretzels. Don't mind if I do, but this is an 80 Hz high-pass filter. Now I'll briefly read you a couple of the specs. The microphone gain ranges from -15 to +65 decibels. The input impedance is 1.3 thousand ohms. It has an EIN of -131 dBUA weighted. The instrument input has an impedance of 1 milliohm. It has a dynamic range of 115 dB, and it does offer 48 volts of phantom power. Now, before I share this graph, I want to say take this with a grain of salt because I'm still learning how to properly measure stuff, but when I tried to measure the response of this preamp, it is pretty darn neutral. You have half a dB cut down at 20 Hz, that's going to be inaudible, and then maybe an eighth of a dB bump between 10 and 20 Hz, which will also be inaudible. Now I have the SM7B connected directly to the preamp without a Cloudlifter or Fethead. I have my gain set at 100%, running line level into the Focusrite 2i2 3rd Gen. On my meter, I'm peaking between -9 and -6 dB, so I would say this has plenty of gain available for this microphone, but I will shut up and let you hear the noise floor. Now I have the 7B running through a mic splitter, which is then going to the Presonus Pre, as well as directly into the 2i2 3rd Gen. I have level matched them as close as I possibly can. Presonus is at 100%, 2i2 3rd Gen just barely shy of 100%. I will be switching back and forth between them so you can hear any difference in tone. And now I'm going to replace the microphone with a 150 ohm resistor so we can hear the difference in the noise floor from this external tube preamp and the internal interface preamp. Now I want to include a quick demonstration of the drive dial. It is currently turned all the way down, so this is as clean as this preamp can sound. I'll slowly increase this to about 9 o'clock. This is maybe 15 or 20%. You can hear the edges of the audio just start to break up a bit. The distortion's starting to creep in, but we'll go ahead and continue to increase this. We're up at 11 o'clock. Now we're at 12 o'clock. It is undeniable. We are distorting the audio now. It is incredibly audible, but that is not enough. We will continue to increase this 1 o'clock. Now we are at 2 o'clock. Now we are at 3 o'clock. Still not enough. Let's just go to 100%. This is the max amount of drive and distortion you can get out of this. I want to be clear, we are not exceeding 0 dBFS. This is purely distorting the tube and the analog realm. Let's go ahead and roll this back 3 o'clock, continuing back down to 12 o'clock, going back down to 9 o'clock, and now the drive is turned all the way off. That's the drive function. That's the kind of distortion that you can get out of this thing. Now I am right on top of the SM7B to really exaggerate the proximity effect. I do not currently have the high pass filter engaged, but here is how it's sounding. Now I have switched on the 80 Hz high pass filter. You can hear a bit of the low end get cleaned up, but it doesn't erode too much of the fundamental frequency in my voice. I will go ahead and shut off the 80 Hz high pass filter again. You can hear that body, that weight come back. And now I have switched on the 80 Hz again, and here is how it sounds with that high pass filter engaged. Next, we have the music test. I'm going to run some drum samples, some acoustic, some electric, and some DI bass through this thing so you can hear how it sounds compared to the Focusrite. When I picked up this preamp, I had no idea what to expect, but after putting it through its paces, I'm pretty impressed, and I have to say it's quite a big step up from the last preamp that I reviewed. And first up as far as pros has to be the gain. This thing offers up to plus 65 dB, which is great, and on top of that, the gain is relatively clean. They quote an EIN of minus 131 dB UA weighted. That's better than a lot of interfaces, so it is offering a lot of very clean gain. I also really like the drive dial because it makes it so easy to dial in just the right amount of distortion that you want. I also found the high pass filter to be great because it's effective, but it's not overly aggressive. And I know this is silly for me to say, I'm a sucker for analog stuff, so I just love the VU meter. It looks awesome. It is so cool to watch. And then as far as cons, this may be a bit of a cop-out, but I didn't encounter any, and I really can't think of any because it does everything that it advertises, and it seems to do it pretty well. So if I had to include something here, this is just a wish list for the next iteration of this. Variable high-pass filter. That would be wonderful. Thank you. But everything else works as it should. Well done. So what do I think this preamp is offering, and what is it bringing to the table? First and foremost, 65 decibels of relatively clean gain. That is awesome, especially for an outboard analog preamp. Secondly, a very functional and usable high-pass filter. And most importantly, that drive dial, that tube saturation, the distortion that you have available in case you want to actually dirty up your recording. Yes, you're getting plenty of clean gain and you're getting that functional high pass filter, but you can get that a lot of places. But what you're getting that is slightly unique is that drive function, that distortion that you have on tap that is very easy to dial in. And to wrap up, would I recommend the Presonus TubePre V2? Yes, I would for some people. If you already have a relatively modern interface and you're looking at this expecting to get more gain and cleaner gain, I think you can pass on it because most modern interfaces that have come out in the last 3 or 4 years have plenty of clean gain on tap. If you have a super budget interface that doesn't have enough gain, or the gain that it offers isn't clean enough, again, I would say maybe pass on this and invest your $150 in a more up-to-date interface. Something from $150 to $250 is going to offer you, in most cases, plenty of gain and plenty of clean gain, and if that's what you're looking for with this device, I think your money's better spent on a higher-end interface. However, if you are looking for plenty of gain that is relatively and even kind of impressively low noise, and, most importantly, and you want to be able to distort your signal to heck and impart that distortion onto your recording, that is where this thing comes into play. That is what this thing offers. That is what this thing does. And gall darn it, it does it well. That's who I would recommend it for. There you go. That's it. That's the video. I have nothing else. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this fun, interesting, or helpful, thumbs up. Hated it, big ol' thumbs down. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Whoa, whoa, boop.